Welcome to the Scaleup Valley podcast, where we bring the best of the best to help you scale our business from 1 million to 1 trillion. Today's guest is Javier Darriba, the co-founder and CEO at Bloobirds. Javier, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you very much, Mike.
My pleasure to have you on the show. For the ones who would like to know more about Bloobirds, you can also watch the episode with Tony Perez, which is the co-founder of Javier. But let's start by getting to know more about yourself. Javier, I know that you have an amazing career in tech, and I'm sure that we will learn a lot from you today. So who is Javier Darriba?
Javier Darriba is a 45 years old man. I was born in Barcelona. Although I've been working in tech for all my life, I studied law long time ago, and I decided that it was not what I wanted to do. And afterwards, I did an MBA. And the second year of the MBA, I did it in the University of Chicago. And it was 1999. And it was when I discovered all the internet and I got in love of technology. And since then, and it's almost like more than 20 years, I've been working in this startup space, because I just after finishing my MBA, I worked for a year in a consulting business in internet, and then I decided to start my first company. My first company was a UX consulting company. It was one of the first big UX consulting companies in Europe. In fact, it was back in 2000. We did it quite well. We grew up to 40 people, and we. Me and my co-founders, we learned how to manage a consulting business, and a consulting business is not a nice thing, because the more you grow, the more difficult it is. The worse is your life, and you don't see too much money at any time. So we saw the opportunity. It was also the start of the software as a service, 2007 more or less, and we started building what it was a UserZoom. It was my previous company that I think has been it's been quite successful, because it has grown a lot. Now it is headquartered in California with around 300 employees, etc. So it's a quite successful company. And then afterwards, I've been also helping other SaaS companies quite known in the Spanish startup ecosystem, such as Wizbee or Signaturit or Force Manager. And finally, I decided to start up again another company. I founded first the SaaS Institute, and with the SaaS Institute, we've helped, I would say that more than 50, 60 SaaS business to grow and scale, and mainly to build their sales a sales machine. Mm-hmm. And then finally we started, me and Tony Perez, we started Bloobirds. That is the goal of this is a software as a service in the sales business, and our goal is to lead the sales engagement space for a specific target market.
Got it.
So this is Javier. Besides, I this is my professional part, but I have three kids, and this is also an important part of my life.
Absolutely. Sounds amazing. And it seems curious, because you kind of started with a consulting company and you transformed it into a product company until you were able to Did you exit UserZoom, or do you keep as shareholder of?
Both. I sold part of my shares, and I still keep part of them.
And then with SaaS Institute, that is quite well known, definitely in Spain and in Barcelona, and now moving a kind of a solution that also helps to engage or to build that sales machine that you were talking about with Bluebird. So it seems a successful practice. Maybe we'll be able to go in for a third or a fourth or a fifth with this kind of methodology.
Let's see.
Exactly. You never know. Perfect. And we also had Tony presenting Bluebirds, but it would be good to give just an overview about what is the stage of growth, to give some context to the audience.
We started around 2.5 years to develop Bluebirds. We've been in the market all this time. Right now we are 37 employees,
yeah,
with almost 100 clients. And yeah, so it's been I am quite happy with the evolution of Bluebirds in these couple of years.
Funding round wise, could you give a little bit more details on
what about
funding rounds?
Okay, yeah. We did some family and friends at the beginning, and 1 year ago we raised 3 million and something. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know which type of round, because I get lost.
Exactly.
Whatever it is 3 million 300 or something like this. Yeah, 1 year ago.
Got it. Perfect. Thanks for clarifying, Javier. We always discuss 3 critical ingredients to scale a business on the show. So number 1 is radical focus. Number 2, world-class leadership. And number 3, a culture of execution. Starting with number 1, radical focus, right? So it's usually when we are kind of defining an opportunity and assuring that we'll be solving a huge problem for a specific target market, we want to have also a huge total addressable market. But sometimes we forget to split that huge total addressable market in different segments and create a narrative until we are the leaders of that category that is being created in that specific horizon of time. And we might have the risk of losing focus in terms of execution and trying to be everything to everybody, which is kind of the recipe for disaster in strategic terms, right? So how important is focus for you, and even more radical focus on your experience with both UserZoom and now with Bluebirds?
I agree that I think it's one of the most important things, because if you are small, you need to focus. Is obvious, and I think also is one of the most difficult things, because it's to know when you need to be focused and when it's time to change and to go into other spaces. So it's like an equilibrium that is very easy to say and is quite obvious, but it's very difficult when you are in the day-to-day and you're taking decisions to stop and say, yeah, let's focus and let's say no to this, no to this, and no to this, and it's not only focus about the target market that you are addressing. It's also focused about the features that you're gonna develop in the product. So it's a very difficult exercise, because on the other hand, innovation comes when you do different things. So when you have to keep focusing on one thing, and when you have to change, and when you decide that you are not performing well and you need to change maybe target market, and the right solution is to change, and this is also part of the evolution, and when you need to keep being focused and consistent with your previous strategy. So I agree, it's very important, but on the other hand, it's very difficult to do it.
Yeah. And I think that we have a lot of discussions in the ecosystem on the transition from a startup to a scale up. And what I figured out along the years is really that a scale up also has different startups inside of the scale up. So it's kind of the combination of these three vectors, kind of the geography, the industry, and the size of the companies that we are targeting. If we change only one of these three variables, for instance, giving the specific example, if we are targeting US companies, mid-size business, and in the banking industry, it would be very different just to say that instead of targeting mid-market, we will go to enterprise. Or instead of being in the US, we will go for Canada or for the UK or for Spain. Or again, if we change any of the variables, geography, industry, or size, we will have a different business, a different thesis. And this will be a new business. And maybe you are mature in one of those combinations of the three variables, in one of those segments. But if you change just one of the variables, you will have a new market. So, and it will go into startup mode again. So that's why when we are leading a scale up, we also have some of our portfolio of businesses, of segments in startup mode, and understanding both kind of businesses is really, really important, right?
Yeah, I will add two things to what you're saying. Mm-hmm. One is that that is a process, because at the end, if you need to, when you focus in a niche at the beginning, the more you focus, the faster you're going to grow, because the more you will be able to customize your product, and the more you will be better to solve the needs of that niche. But on the other hand, when you grow, you need a bigger market in order to grow. So you need to change that. So you are constantly changing, and this is how I see. For me, if I would have to draw this in a graph, for me, it would be like a stairs. No, it's like you grow like this, like you are stagnant sometimes until you find and switch the company to go to the other niche. So you go like this. And the other thing, you were talking about three variables that I agree that is the variables that define the target market mainly is industry, country, and size. But not the three are the same. For me, the variable that change the most your company is the company size, because either you have a DNA to sell to big companies, or you have a DNA to sell to SMEs, and the product is also is totally different when you have to sell to big corporations and when you have to sell to SME. This, I think, is the biggest change, because a country sometimes is not as difficult, because depending in which industry you are. But for example, I remember where when we were in UserZoom, we were selling to UX people, user experience professionals. The user experience culture was much more important than the country or the country culture, because at the end, most of the user experience professionals behaved the same, had the same language, were reading the same, no matter where they were. And Bloobirds, for example, that we've been selling to the startup world, we've seen the same, that at the end, salespeople in the startups, they have a very strong culture, that it is stronger than their national cultures. And is an industry where most of the people speaks in English, or has good skills in English, etc. It doesn't happen, I think, like this in other industries. There are like legal industries, for example, that if you go from one country to the other, then the differences are very important. And regarding industry, I think it's the less important. I think that you can switch from one industry to the other, and it's not really, it's not very, very difficult. So I would say that these three variables, the most important and the most difficult is the size of the company. And the other two, I think, are not as important.
Agreed, and it's really important to understand if you will start enterprise first or kind of start mid-size and then move into enterprise. And usually this transition is very hard, as we know from other experiences.
Because at the end, it's very difficult to start in the enterprise business from the beginning, because your software is not strong enough the first year. So it's something that you have to build. So yeah. So at some point you have to change that.
Absolutely. And this transition is really critical then to execute, and also to adapt to the speed of the sales cycle of SMB and the sales cycle of an enterprise account, which can in the short term slow down the growth, right? Which is something that usually people start feeling impatient if we don't see immediate results, especially in this kind of companies that we try to double or triple revenues every single year, right? So it's a short period of time, just 4 quarters, 13 weeks each, and especially
when you talk with enterprise companies and they say no, yeah, I think I love your product and we're for it. So I think at the end of the year we will be ready, and you say, well, the end of the year, but if we are in February, so that they work like this. Yeah,
exactly. That's a very different mindset. And moving to the second one, the world-class leadership or /team/culture, and I think that leadership is kind of the root cause of creating an amazing team and an amazing culture. We always talk about the importance of having the right people on the right seats for each stage of growth of the company. And we were just giving an example. So when the time comes to do the transition from a mid-sized to enterprise business, it depends, of course, on the business. But imagine this common transition. Maybe the leadership team that you need will need different seats. So it doesn't mean that the people that were there before did a bad job. They did an excellent job. If not, we would not be able to have that option, right, to go to the next stage of growth. But maybe we need to replace some of the seats and bring new people in. And usually those are very hard decisions and tough decisions to make, to let go people that were very, very important for us, and to keep the culture, to keep the sense of belonging to the team. So what are some of your experiences with these transitions and building the teams for each stage of growth with UserZoom and Bloobird?
What I think is that when you're starting, it's obvious that you cannot attract the best people, and when I say the best people, doesn't mean that the people you're attracting is not good, but doesn't make any sense to from the beginning to have a sales VP with experience managing 100 people when at the beginning you don't have any guy. So it's not like maybe because it's not that this sales VP is better than the one you have now, but it's a different need. So, but what I've seen in my experience is that what you cannot afford as a company is that when you the people you need to go from 0 to, I would say, like 4 million ARR is going to be is going to be maybe different than the people that when you have from 4 to 10 or from 10 to 20. Mm-hmm. But what I think you cannot afford is, and I think it's like a football team, is in which you can hire a Messi. If you have like 10 people that is from home, you can hire a very good forward that you need in that position, and you bring the best one. But the other 10 has to be people that has the company culture, that has so so what I don't think it works is suddenly get to a point in which you say, okay, I'm going to change my whole managing team because the people I had at the beginning isn't they don't work anymore. I think that these people that you have at the beginning should be able, maybe a 50 or 60% of them, grow with you and help you on later stages. Otherwise, it's very difficult to change management team every couple of years because you are growing, and at the end, it's very difficult to keep the company culture and this. So I would say it's a mix, and then it's very important when you start to get very good people that can grow with you, and they are not gonna get like
they need to be kind of marathonists, right? So
yes, people that maybe maybe they don't have too much experience, or in some cases they have, but maybe not with bigger teams, but they are smart enough to grow and grow with the company. Otherwise, I think it's very difficult, and then you get into troubles when suddenly you are in 5 million ARR and you see that you have to change your VP of sales, you have to change your VP of finance, you have to change your VP of customer success, your VP of marketing, because none of them has the skills to keep.
And maybe that's exactly the point. And I think that's one of my main lessons of the last years is at that stage, as you said, what you are doing is building a new team from the scratch. And usually, or always, you don't have the time to build a team when you are, again, trying to double or triple revenues every single year. So they will need to get to know each other, understand how the company operates, how the teams operate, how the market operates. So they will need some time also to show results and to work as a team together, right? And as we know, one of the most difficult issues when the company grows is really the alignment and the communication and the cross-functional collaboration, right? So, and if you have a new person in marketing, a new person in sales, a new person in CS, a new person in product, those people don't know each other very well. And you know what? And especially when things get tough, because we are not seeing the results, we start blaming each other, and we are not able to go in a common direction altogether. Or if we are, and this would be amazing to build a team, it will take extra quarters to get there, right?
And you agree 100%. And I would add, and one thing that it's been key for your success, that is your company culture. How you are going to maintain your company culture when all your management team has been changed? Because at the end, in a startup, the company culture is most of it is, of course, is the founders, but is the management team. So yeah. So this is, I think this is something you have to take in mind from the beginning of the company, and hire people that can grow with you more than just a couple of years. Otherwise, you'll get in troubles in later.
Absolutely, that's really a very good point. And going to the last ingredient, so a culture of execution and the importance of rituals to have those weeklies, the all ends, the monthlies, the quarterlies in place, even the one-on-ones. And so is there any specific rhythms that are serving you the best? Any lessons learned there?
The one for me, one lesson I learned is that when I am in a product meeting, when I am in a marketing meeting, when I am in a sales meeting, if I am the person that knows more about that topic, I have a problem. I mean, I shouldn't be the one that knows more about product. I shouldn't be the one that knows more about marketing. As in my case, as a CEO, I have very, very clear that my goal is not to be an expert on each area, but to help the other to execute and to perform. And this is something that I've learned, because when I started, I tended to try to be the one driving marketing, driving customer success, driving the other, and this doesn't work, because you are not the best on anything at the end.
Yeah, I can recognize myself on that. So the first time that I had the opportunity to be CEO, it was exactly the same. I wanted to learn everything about every single function. So, and yeah, definitely our role is to provide clarity, to build a team, and to be able to let the team define the strategy and define the way to execute that vision and that strategy. And execution is much easier when they are part of the process of creation, right? And so definitely a very good point, Javier. Should I have asked you any other points that we didn't cover today before we go into our last question of the show?
No. I think we've covered lots of very interesting issues. I think we could talk for hours, but I think that we've already covered several very, very interesting topics.
Love it. And so let's go for the final question of the show. Let's see if you pass this one. So, which is, if you'd have the opportunity to meet Javier, let's say at the beginning of UserZoom, what advice would you offer to your younger self in that coffee?
In that coffee, first of all, I don't know if that young Javier would listen to me. So that's something I would like to find out. But what I could tell him is that building a company is very hard, and is very hard, and every week you have 3 bad news and 3 good news. And it's very important that you can celebrate the good news, because if you expect to I will celebrate once I reach that, you never reach. There is always always problems. There are lots of areas in the company where people that may be leaving, target revenues that you don't achieve, financing rounds that gets more complicated that you expected, problems with product, problems with clients. So every day, every week, you are having problems. And if you don't celebrate the small successes that you also has, like new clients, people doing good, very good their job, etc., at the end, you don't enjoy a very nice journey that is building a company. So this is what I would tell him: hey, celebrate and enjoy the good moments, because there are also good moments and good news, and don't focus only on the bad news to solve them. This is what I would.
Absolutely, I love it, and I think it was a good wake-up call to remember those numbers that we repeat a lot here on the show. Only 4% of all companies gets to 1 million. Only 0.4% to 10 million, and under 0.04% to 100 million. And this is all time. So this is not just in a decade, like a venture-backed business that tries to get from 0 to 100 million in 10 years. So what we are trying to build together in this community are real outliers. So, and I'm sure that are amazing teams that will be not able to do that, and that have invested all their energy, all their efforts to make it happen. So congrats, and I fully agree with you, Javier. It's really, really important to celebrate every single success, because even getting to 1 million or 10 million, it's already an outlier. So, and I see a lot of late stage founders that don't consider themselves a success, and that's definitely a pity, not from an arrogance perspective, but for say, look, what I've just achieved is kind of 0.4% or 4% of all companies. So I should be happy. Of course, I would want more, and I think that anger is amazing to have. I want more. We want to get further and to have an impact on society. but also celebrating what we definitely achieved. So Javier, thank you so much for making the time to be with us today and for sharing a bit of your journey with UserZoom and Bloobirds.
Thank you very much, Mike, for having me.
My pleasure.
Okay.
And to our community, thank you for being on that side. As you see, we keep bringing you the best of the best to help you scale your business from 1 million to 1 trillion. Keep scaling and see you soon.